Hi, Lennox.
Hi, how are you?
Jarrell.
Hello, Jarrell.
Jarrell, sorry, thank you.
All right.
So we have a short time to work together today.
Okay.
And what I would like to do is find out a little bit about what brings you in to see me today and what we might be able to work on. I'm going to be asking a fair amount of questions and trying to just get an idea of some of the problems that the two of you might be having, and then actually do some work together to, obviously we're not going to solve all your problems today, but to try and get you started.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even in this brief period of time. What I'm going to do as we talk today is I want to hear from each of you and get both of your perspectives. So I'm going to be making sure that I'm hearing both sides of everything we talk about. And so given that it doesn't matter who starts, but what I'd like to know is kind of what are some of the problems that you've been facing? What brings you in here?
I can start, or you can take that.
You can start because you had the most problems.
No, I think one of the main things when we got the email is that we really, I think the trust is a huge issue in our relationship, as well as, my anxiety personally. I have a huge amount of anxiety. Even now I'm thinking about 20 million things I could be doing, and I'm never here in the present moment. And I think that affects our relationship as well. I can never be in one place. And then obviously the trust factor is a huge, huge deal. I never realized how much trust is important. Even though I know it is important, I just never knew how much it is to obtain trust. And that's why I'm here.
Okay. And are those two things kind of related, the trust and the anxiety?
I think absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's a huge connection. The reason I don't trust makes me anxious. And then my anxiety within itself makes me really anxious about everything in life.
Okay.
And then with that, the trust issue, it puts a lot of strain on me because what are you doing? Where are you at? Who are you with? Constantly. And I'm like, I'm at school.
Okay.
And the anxiety is like, we could be out doing something and he's doing 10 million things. I'm like, we're supposed to be out, me and you, having dinner, but you're on the phone thinking about the story you could be writing. And I'm just like, we're supposed to be trying to make a connection or get to know each other better. I mean, it's been almost a year now. And those two things create a barrier between the two of us.
Right. Okay. So if I've got this right, you have a hard time staying in the present, have a lot of anxiety and difficulty trusting, and feel anxious and plays on it.
Right.
And that anxiety is sort of spilling over to affect you because you feel like you're being asked where you are a lot, or when you're doing stuff together, and that Lennox doesn't trust you, and that he's not present.
Right.
Okay. And so you said it's been a year now.
It's close to it. It's coming on. It's August 25th will be a year.
Okay, a year since you met, a year since you decided to be a couple.
It's funny, we met.
It's tumultuous.
The day we met, and then it just went really fast, and then we connected really quickly, and been together ever since.
Okay.
And if I could just say, like, to keep it 100, keep it real, like, we met via a hookup site, a gay hookup site.
All right.
One crazy night, and, we were dating for a couple months afterwards, and then that's how our relationship kind of developed.
Okay.
So it met on a very, I think,
not trying to get together with nobody. It was a hookup.
Right. You weren't looking for a long-term relationship.
It wasn't looking for
at the moment.
It was just something to do, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I have my own little problems with gay hookup sites and the trust that lies in there. But but that's a whole nother show.
So how long was it before? I mean, you said it started off right away. So did it just feel sort of organic? That it just kept going, or like? Did you know that first night that you met that you wanted to see one another again?
It was
more for just the hookup.
I think
it was organic for me.
It was organic for me too. I mean, I liked him off when I first met him. I was just like, I really like this dude. Okay. And then the next day, I really liked this dude more. And then I think because the first night we met, I went home. I think because I went home that night.
You did go home.
I left. I didn't stay. I left.
Okay.
And I think that's what brought us together even closer because I didn't stay
Right.
and do the things that happens when you spend the night. I went home.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that level of respect didn't get broke that night. I stayed. I went on home, and then the next night we hung out again. I went home.
Okay.
So
I'm curious from both of you, what was it then? Because you said that level of respect wasn't broken. What was it about Lennox that you saw in that it was obviously it became something different from what you were expecting?
It's funny because we always talk about this when we first met. I mean, I was just breaking up with somebody. Well, I was about to break up with somebody. So that's why I was on the hookup site, because I was bored. And we were out, I think maybe on our third or fourth date.
Okay.
And up until that point, I had been paying for everything, because this is what I do. I just tend to.
He's daddy.
I gotta pay for it. I make sure we have a good time. I'm gonna cover it. But that night, he was like, "You've been paying for everything. I got it." And he paid for everything, and that kind of was the straw that broke the camel's back. And I went ahead and ended when I was already about to end with somebody else.
Okay.
And we were already. It was already like I'm looking for something anyway. And so that's obviously how I was hanging out with him.
Okay.
So, I mean, he already knew that I was doing that. I was getting ready to break up with somebody. So that kind of really helped me break up with the other person.
Okay.
And that's what, for me, that's what he helped me get over that. Because I was having a hard time leaving the other person. For some reason, I just could not end that. But when I met him, I was like, I don't need to deal with this. When I've met somebody who takes the time and thinks about me as a person, or just doesn't expect anything out of me.
And do you, are you emotionally done with this other guy at this point?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm emotionally done.
Really?
I mean,
Okay. So I'm curious, is that an example of a trust question? Was that a little bit of an anxiety
It
trust?
is a little bit of an anxiety. I mean, like so we met on a very interesting platform, and we both were going through pretty pivotal breakups in our lives when we met. So so he was trying to get over his ex and move on. I was trying to get over my ex. I was with for 8 years, and we were just trying to both move on at the same time. And I think our pain kind of brought us together as well. Like, you know, both of us connected and knew exactly what each one was going through with our exes. So I think, I mean, I know personally, and he knows this, we've talked about this, that I'm still trying to handle and move on from my ex because it was such a long part of my life. We have a dog together, if that means anything. But he really broke my heart, my former ex. And so that pain is definitely carried over into my current relationship with him. And it's been really difficult. Like, I didn't trust my ex, and for obvious reasons, he did a lot of things behind my back and talked about me behind my back, whatever the case may be. But I mean, I'm expecting him to do the same things eventually. I mean, of course, we're only like a few months in, or 6, 7 months, 8 months, whatever, but I'm anticipating that this is gonna go the same route.
Right. So you had your heart broken by your ex.
Yes.
8 years with your ex, you said?
Yeah, 8 years. Long years.
He ended it. I'm
Yes,
assuming.
it was a kind of a forced end too.
Okay.
Like, it was nowhere else to go but end. You know,
Okay.
that kind of volatile ending.
Okay. And Jarrell, what were the circumstances? You said you ended with your last relationship.
I was just at the point to where I was just, you know how you with somebody for so long, and we had been doing it for 4 years, like on and off, on and off. We break up, make up, break up, make up. And I would always break up with him because I was always doing everything. It wasn't really a connection in the relationship.
Okay.
I have to do too much to get something out of something. It was just too much, and I just would get tired of it, and then we break up. And then a couple months later, he'll call me or I'll call him, and we get back together and start over again. And then the same thing will happen. But this last time, I was just like, I don't need to deal with it. I don't need that.
Okay.
When I know there's other men out there
Sure.
that won't put me through that much strain.
Okay.
Or make me feel like I gotta always be the one to do everything, which I have no problem doing everything. But it feels good to have somebody else say, I got it.
Right. Right.
So I can handle it.
So you each had some painful relationships.
Absolutely.
Are you seeing are those relationships just sort of there in the background for both of you now, or do you see between the two of you any similar patterns from these relationships that were so painful?
That's a great question.
For me, no.
For you, no. Okay.
I'm a little hesitant to answer. Same patterns. I mean, this could be also very mental for me. Like I could be looking for those patterns that were in my past relationship to show up in my current one. So I don't know. I don't know if it's. I have no idea. No.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. And at this point, the two of you, if I understand correctly, are not living together. Is that right?
No.
You don't live together. Do you have any plans, or is that something that you're discussing?
I think we just going
With the flow.
with the flow.
Okay.
I'm in grad school trying to finish my master's. He's trying to figure out what he's trying to make his moves in his career.
All right.
So at this point, we just enjoying each other, and
Sure.
we'll see.
Right.
When I graduate, I may be offered a job to move to New Zealand.
Okay.
Or he may be offered a job to move to Africa, and I'm willing to go. And I'm pretty sure he's willing to go as well. So I mean, at this point, we just going with the flow. We'll see how things fall.
Sure.
And
at
living
that time.
together takes on this whole different
whole nother piece.
I mean,
Were you living with your ex?
I was. We were
Okay.
living
Oh,
together.
that's right, and you had a dog.
Yeah, and we had a dog, so we were living together.
And you
8
weren't
years.
living with your ex. Okay.
Yeah.
Have
But
you ever lived with anyone?
I have. Oh,
Okay.
yeah. I have.
Okay.
I've always, every serious boyfriend that I've ever had, we've moved in. I've only had 2 relationships where I've lived with somebody.
All right.
Other than that, I've always lived on my own.
Okay. But you both agree at this point. Going with the flow is something you're both comfortable with at this point.
Yes.
Okay.
Something, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Treading lightly. Yeah.
Okay. So, and who are you each live? Do you each live on your own, and like in your own apartment? Do you have roommates? Live with family? What?
I live at home with my parents right now.
You're living at home
It's
with your
easy for me to
parents.
go to
Okay.
grad. It's too hard to try to work and do this program.
Okay.
It's not.
How does that affect having a relationship, being at home with your parents?
I don't have a problem. I can leave and go come as I please. I can have company whenever I would like, and he has his own place.
Yeah, I live. Actually, I don't technically live with my parents, but I live in their guest house, which is
Okay.
like literally right across the street from my parents. So it's kind of like living with your parents, but not really, because they see when you come in at 1 o'clock drunk in the morning, or with some random guy or whatever.
And do they know about your relationship, each of your families, or?
That's a different beast too. I actually just wrote a story about this, about black families in gay, like the black families in gay culture and black gay men culture, male culture, and how African Americans are kind of like still resistant about homosexuality and the acceptance of our lifestyles. My parents are actually a pretty interesting study, I think. My mom and I are very close, and she knows about Jarrell and she loves him, and she made the comment to me saying that, yeah, it's okay for you to be gay, but just don't do it in my face. I was like, Mom, that's a backwards, that's not good.
Right.
That's like a backwards, acceptance.
Right.
So my dad and I have a bit of a more tumultuous relationship. We are very estranged, even though I grew up with him for maybe, the last 30 years of my life. And that all stemmed from him when I went to Mississippi, which is where he's from. My uncles and aunts used to always say that my dad teased gay men in high school. He used to, call them fags and everything like that. So when I was young, at 15 or 16, and I remembered that story, and it still stays with me to today, it's made our relationship very tumultuous. Like we just don't talk, we don't really interact. Everything is channeled through my mother, kind of thing. So it's very awkward, very interesting.
Okay. Does he know that you're gay?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't make it. I don't even hide it. Like so I write for the paper, the Red Eye, and my column is basically from a black gay male perspective.
Okay.
And actually, one story I wrote about getting married one day to the guy that was my ex 8-year guy. I wrote a story about marrying him. My dad hated my ex for rightful reasons, but his coworkers read the story about his son getting married to another guy, and they teased him at work, and he took that anger from his job
And brought it home.
and brought it home
to you.
me.
Wow.
It was a really interesting, very weird moment in time for me.
Okay.
My parents, me and my mother have a very tight relationship. Me and my father don't. But we cohabitate. That's enough for us to get along because of my mother. My mother knows I'm gay. She has a reason. She's a Christian, this, that, and the other. And I let her know that this is me, and it's either you accept me for who I am or you don't accept me at all. And that was years ago I told her that. So now she's pretty accepting. I just don't put it in her face. But I talk about him. I'm finna go over to Lenny's house. We going out tonight. We going to a concert tonight. We going to do this, that, and the other. She knows about him. She's met him. She reads his column every time, and she talks to him when she talks to him. She likes Lennox.
Okay.
But I'm just we different. So I'm just not finna.
So he hides it for security, like for protecting his family. I blatantly put it out there just to be that bitch, like, you know, like, hey, I'm here. I'm sorry, I don't know if I can curse. But you know, I do it purposely to get a reaction. I want you to know I'm gay and I'm black. I'm here. Deal with it, kind of thing. Yeah.
All right.
And I'm like that too, but it's not so in your face.
Right. Okay.
And I do more writing in my assignments.
Okay.
About.
Is that ever a conflict between the two of you? That there is a little difference in that expression?
It actually is. Sometimes I can be really, especially when I'm drinking and I'm hanging out, having fun.
Oh God.
I can be very flamboyant about my sexuality. You know, I want to be all over him.
And I'm like,
kiss him.
Like regardless of where you are. I'm assuming that's not just in a gay bar. You could be down the street.
We could be on 79th Street in Halstead, and it's
the predominantly black neighborhood.
Gang bangers on the corners, guys that call people fags and want to gay bash, and we could be in the car, and he'll be doing all this, and I'm like,
and so your reaction,
Lennox, we're on the corner. I don't care either.
What you do,
but I just don't want to have to deal with the backlash from people. Or I don't want to have to fight. I can't do that. I can't fight. I don't want to have to fight. And see, he has no problem fighting.
I'm unapologetically gay.
Okay. All right.
So that's a conflict. And because I'm out, but I'm out, but I'm not out there. So everybody can just be, oh yeah, he's gay. Okay. Because people wouldn't know I was gay. They wouldn't instantly know I was gay if they
would not.
Okay.
With him, they would.
Yeah.
All right. So, what I like to do is think about sort of what are some of the themes that come up with couples, because you know all couples have problems. All couples argue. All couples have differences. But it's good to know, sort of to think of. I think of it like an umbrella. What sort of are the themes that are going to you guys are going to keep coming back to? Maybe argue about over and over again that are kind of getting you stuck. So. In this brief moments of getting to know you, correct me if I'm wrong, because I want to know if I'm wrong. But it sounds like issues are kind of how you handle, maybe both of you, perhaps a little more you, but how both of you handle trust or anxieties.
Okay.
And you use the phrase unapologetically gay, and it sounds like unapologetically gay, quietly happy gay.
Yeah, exactly. All said.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. And that's a sort of a difference for the two of you and comes into play.
Yeah.
So what I'm curious about is, and I'd like to hear from both of you, like if there are situations, because you had mentioned, Jarrell, that Lennox often is asking where you are, you're in class, whatever. Is that a main thing that sort of bothers you? Like, is a problem that kind of makes you feel a little more distanced or gets you more irritated? Or is it the open display
of gayness?
That probably would bother me more. Than
that bothers you more?
Because I'm not doing anything, so it's like I have no reason to lie. Or I'm at school and he know my schedule, and I'm at home. He can tell when I'm at home.
Okay.
If I'm not at home, I'm usually with him, or we're out somewhere, or if I'm not with him, I mean, he knows where I'm at pretty much. And usually when he calls my phone, I answer.
Okay, so the display of affection, I'll just call it that for now.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that a little bit. But is that also sort of a primary problematic area for you, or is there another area that I want to spend a few moments talking about these?
I think. Are you asking whether trust or the PDA is more?
Yeah. Which would be more? Which is more?
I mean, obviously
problematic for you, or feels.
I mean, PDA happens in moments, right? So, I mean, that's less effective to me. Trust is huge, right? So, as I've learned, trust is really huge. So, when I'm going through his phone, or I know that's horrible. I
And
can't
I
believe
don't
I'm
go through
saying
his
this on
phone, but he loves to
camera.
go through mine.
Going through his phone or checking his emails or something like that. I'm just looking for something to destroy the relationship, basically. And I thought about this last night before I got here today. I was like, what do I really want to open up and tell him about that I haven't really talked to him about? I mean, he knows I go through his phone and he lets me do it, ad nauseum. But
So you let him do it.
he
I
does.
mean, if I have nothing to hide,
Nothing to hide,
I
right?
can care less. Go through
But
it.
yet, still, I'm looking for something. I know that there's some discrepancy somewhere, and I know this is my own paranoia, my own history of infidelity or being backstabbed or whatever. I know it's all me. It's something that I'm working with, and I'm seeing a therapist to kind of work through those issues to kind of figure out exactly where it stemmed from. And the biggest question I'm having is, how do I trust again? How do you trust someone again?
Okay.
How do you trust?
Do you think that's what you're trying to do by looking at the phone, is figure out how to trust?
I obviously I know that's not how you do it, but I realize that is something that I tell myself, like, oh, this is the answer to the trust question you are inevitably trying to answer,
Well, we frequently know this isn't going to get
Yeah,
us where
we
we
are.
want to go, but we still go there anyway.
We still go
right?
there, yeah. Just to just search.
Then probably the fact that I let him do it.
No, I like the fact you let me do it because
know.
it makes me, it's comforting.
Right.
It's comforting.
And that's exactly why I do it, because I know he doesn't trust. He had trust issues, so I'm not going to give him a reason to not trust me.
Okay.
So here, go through my phone, go through my wallet, go through my pockets, check my emails. I don't close nothing up for you not to be able to see. I don't want you to have to say, well, you told me you was here,
Right.
but something contradicts that I saw on your phone. You will never get that from me,
Right.
because I've done all that stuff
Sure.
already.
Okay. So
Yeah.
can we stay with that? I do want to get back to, before we stop this afternoon, I do want to get back to the display of affection. But if we can stay with this for a second.
Okay.
What do you think would happen? What do you both imagine would happen if you didn't do that? Like if he wasn't so accommodating, if you
I don't think-
sort of kept the privacy of the phone, et cetera, what do you think that
I don't think we
do
would have
for you?
lasted this long.
Okay.
I don't think I could have handled not knowing or not being able to search, right? And I realize this is a crutch and a handicap for him. Like he's doing this to appease me, and it goes against his whole code.
It
He doesn't
does.
never goes to my phone. He never
does.
checks my email. He never asks when I'm texting. He never asks when I'm out, who I'm with.
I never ask.
Never asks.
Never.
So
Because I trust, go ahead.
Right.
I see you when you get home. Or call me when you get, or text me when you make it in. What, this at 5 in the morning?
right.
Do you guys talk about it after you've looked at the phone or checked an email?
I mistranslate a lot of things. So like, text messages are very dangerous. I just want to say that. But this is, I can write my friend and say, hey, I love you. And I can read that. I can read something he wrote to a friend that's really close. That's a guy. And it says, I love you. And I'm like, what the hell is this? What's
Okay,
going on here?
So tell me, can you think of a recent experience, not something that was like, probably best if we don't talk about something that you fought about for 2 days afterwards.
yeah.
Not quite that hot. But anything, can you think of an example recently?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. He was texting his ex, Albert, and they were, I guess, trying to connect over some money. He owes you some money, and you guys haven't really seen each other. So I got insecure about that. And I realized the lack of trust is also a huge part of my insecurity. I get that. Me not feeling worthy enough, to have someone love me in some regards, or trust someone to love me like my parents did, or like my siblings, or like my family do. So I realize that's my insecurity. But, I say that and I know it, but it still doesn't register. But yeah, so he was texting his ex, and I got a little upset about that. Trying to figure out exactly why is he still communicating with someone that he doesn't like anymore, or doesn't love anymore, or moving on from. I basically had to pull his teeth to get him to break up with his ex when we first met. Like, it was like every excuse I gave him, like, yo, he's not great for you. This is when we were friends and trying to like figure out things.
So you saw the text to
Yeah, text.
to Albert.
Yeah.
And then what did you do when you saw that?
I didn't say anything for probably a day or so. I didn't say anything.
Okay.
I didn't say it immediately. And then I looked to see I checked his phone again. God, I sound like a psychopath. I checked this one again. He's like, well, the shoe fits. No, I checked this one again to see if he had deleted it, because that's something my ex did before, and I would notice something in his phone, and he would delete it later on.
Right.
So I noticed he didn't delete it.
He hadn't. Okay.
So
then did you ask him?
I did.
Okay.
Brought it up.
So, and when you don't sound like a psychopath, you sound like you're anxious. So what did you do? So Jarrell, what did you do when he asked you? Or what was your reaction when he asked you?
I said he owed me some money. And since he texted me and said, hello, how are you? I said, I'm great. I'm out with my boyfriend. What's up with the money you owe me?
So you didn't get upset when he asked you. You just explained what was going on.
He never really gets upset.
Okay.
Never really. Like that's the funny part. That's the interesting part. This is what I'm newly dealing with. Like,
and see, that's because I'm a little older than him, and I've done the cheating, I've done the trickery, I've done all that. And it comes a point in your life where when you're not doing those things, it's no need for me to even.
You can just let it go.
This is what I was doing.
And when I do bring up the phone and bring up whether you ask him about whether he's being committed, I realize I'm projecting in some regards. Not projecting like that I'm doing horrible things, but I'm projecting my past relationship experience on our relationship. So, and I mean I apologize for it, but it's impossible for me to help right now.
Okay.
And because I like him, I'm just like, he'll get over it.
Yeah.
Okay.
At some point, he'll realize that he can trust me and that I'm here with the right intentions.
So would you say, Jarrell, that you have an easier time letting go of the past? Like your own behavior that's been in the past, your ex's behavior, and you have a harder time?
I would say the past in general. I would say I have a harder time letting go of people I've loved, and move on from.
Okay.
It's hard, like it's like someone like I think of it this way, like if my ex would have died, and knowing that I've had sex with him, it would just be hard for me to move on with someone that I've had sex with that died. I don't know. It's just weird. It's a weird process in my head that I.
Okay. But do you hold on to those hurts too from?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
And does that impact you not trusting Jarrell as much?
Of course.
Okay.
Yes.
Of course.
Yeah. So, so in some ways, when you're reading those texts or the emails, it's not just about Jarrell. It's bringing up all the whole history.
In the spirit of noticing, I know that when I do that, it's because of him, my ex. It's because of how I felt when we were together. It's because of the pain and
the betrayal.
The betrayal was
all the other stuff
crazy
that he did that I don't do.
Right. Now, do you guys ever talk about that in that moment? Like when you're asking Jarrell, do you ever talk about this isn't necessarily about the two of you?
I just say
about
when he gets to going, and I just be like, I'm not
him. Yeah.
I'm not Jeremiah.
Yeah. That's what he says.
Okay.
I haven't done anything that he's done.
Okay.
Yet.
Okay.
And I say yet because
right, and that sounds like a prequel.
I say
is
yet
soon?
because what may happen is you keep pushing. Okay, well he think I'm doing this anyway.
So why not? Right, and that's what I'm afraid of too. I'm afraid of that, the fact that I'm pushing.
And I say, well, if you stop pushing that, then because I'm not the kind of person that I'm not the kind of person.
So you say yet. That.
And it's just
the comfort,
did.
and then it scares you.
That antenna just went up like
one of these.
Yeah.
One of those kind of like,
So you're feeling a little angry when you do that, or irritated?
That's my way of saying you need to get it together, because I haven't done it yet, and I still haven't done it. I keep saying yet, and it's been almost a year, and I still ain't did anything different than I've been doing from the beginning.
Okay. So in the conversation about the text, how did that all end? How did that discussion end? Did you have an argument? Did you just sort of
like
fizzle?
I said, we don't really argue, which is really interesting because he kind of just knows how to shut me down a little bit. Like I can go on a tangent about something.
Go on. I'll be like,
okay. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's not really a battle, but yeah. So I mean, it was really never diffused. I mean, essentially, but I mean, one of my therapists actually told me the only way you can trust someone is to trust them. And I thought that was pivotal. It made sense to me, like forcing someone to trust him. So I'll ask him a question like once, and I'm like, okay, all right, I trust you. I actually say that out loud. I trust you. All right, I can't do anything. I'm not gonna research this. I'm not gonna put on my journalist hat and see if I can find a story in here. I'm just gonna, trust him. And that's so
you
hard
sort of
to
are
do.
practicing trust.
I am practicing.
I mean, he's trying.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's just so hard.
And that's why I don't. It's no point in me.
So you see him.
no point in me arguing because I know it's the anxiety.
Okay.
And it's the past relationship that you think I'm gonna do the same thing that he did.
Okay.
And like he said, when they first were early on, the guy he was with before was cheating on him.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't even done any of the things that he's done.
Anything like that.
Okay. So you recognize that it's it sounds like you kind of can understand where he's coming from.
I totally do, because I used to be that ex. The ex-boyfriend, I've done the cheating. I've done all that.
And I've heard the stories.
And I'm at the point to where I'm over that stage of my life. I'm ready to get married.
Okay. All right. So if we can, so I've got a sense of that. It sounds like the two of you, that's troubling, but you have some conversation.
Right.
I wonder if you could have more conversations about not the asking, but just about when that does come up, conversations about the present moment. What's happening between the two of us right now?
Like, what are you thinking about? Why are you?
Or even just let's just talk about that. Here we are again. This anxiety and trust. That's what we're dealing with. This anxiety and trust is recurring.
And what's causing it?
Yeah.
What's causing you to feel like this right now?
Sure. What's causing you to feel like this, or even just maybe even how else can we deal with this now? Like it sounds like you're trying to do something. Like say, I trust you, and then you have to sort of hang on to that for a little bit.
I have to convince myself to trust.
Yeah. It is kind of like practice.
It is.
Right.
Yeah.
And I also say, I say, I've started to say, we've had this conversation once. Let's not have it again because we've already moved past this.
Okay.
And the post of us going back to that, and then we keep arguing about the same thing.
Right.
'Cause I'm not going to argue with you.
Right.
I don't argue.
Right.
I try what we do argue, but I'm more of the, okay.
All right. So you would encourage your part of the conversation is say let's not have this conversation. We've had the conversation. It's sort of resolved. Let's not have it again.
Especially if it's not me. If it's him.
I've even Googled trust exercises. So like exercises that you can do that help trust your partner.
I mean, he's definitely trying.
I'm trying.
He's trying to move past his past.
Right.
So he can move into the future with me.
Right.
Yeah.
Basically.
Right.
I think he trusts me.
I do.
He really trusts me. He know I got his back. He know I'm not going to do anything disrespectful. We had the conversation. If I'm going to do anything, I'm going to talk to you first about it and say, hey, this, and this.
Right.
I want to do this. Yeah, I'm going to let him know. That way, because I don't want that relationship where I'm cheating. I don't want to cheat.
Okay.
I don't want to have to lie.
Right.
I don't want to have to think about something that I did.
Okay.
I don't want to come back on me.
Excuse me.
I'm not dealing with that. I've done that already.
Sure. So I'm wondering if now sort of we can make kind of abrupt change and talk about the other area about the display of affection.
Okay.
Because you were saying, Jarrell, that sort of is.
I mean, if we're in the right location, it's just only thing with
It
that.
shouldn't be about location.
Can you tell? Okay.
I'm sorry, I like talking.
No. I'm just curious if you can give me an example.
Okay.
Of something that happened recently where it kind of bothered the two.
We were on
of you.
87th and Hosted.
Okay.
And there was a guy. We was driving at the light, and there was a guy in a car.
Is that kind of a rough area?
Yeah, it is.
It's
like
It's a rough area. It's
actually.
Inglewood, and you can get shot instantly. People carry guns. It's
All right.
Chicago.
Okay.
Chirac. And we were at 87th and Hosted, and it was a guy to the right of me, to the left of me, and it was a lady to the left of him. And the guy in the car over here was talking to the girl over there, saying, "Hey, baby, what's up?" And he's saying, "Hey." You know, he's sitting all up in the car, and I'm like, Lennox, stop.
I was being funny.
I know you was, but I was just like, that kind of stuff. And he had his hand in my hair, he's doing all that, letting these guys know that we together, we gay. And the girl ain't paying them no attention. So now he's making the scene, and they looking at us like, and I'm like, light, please change. Light, please change. 'Cause I don't want the conflict.
Okay.
It's not that I can care less, but I don't want to get into a situation where I'm gonna have to stand up and defend or fight.
Does it make you feel anxious, or do you just don't want to deal with it? Like, do you feel scared in that situation, or not?
It's probably more that I would feel scared because, like I said, you know, I've had back surgeries. I'm not the type of person that I don't want to have to fight nobody.
Okay.
I'm not fighting. I don't want to have to fight. But I know this is Chicago, and I'm not feeling nobody disrespect my partner or me. So to avoid that, let's just be careful and be mindful of the things that we do and where we're at.
Okay.
Him on the other hand,
That's where I disagree.
Yeah, I'm curious. What would in that moment?
In that moment, right?
Had you been drinking? Because you said
I had
sometimes.
a little
Yeah.
drink, but I
Okay.
wasn't like
We had been
belligerently
drunk.
drunk.
But you weren't completely inebriated. You know what you were doing.
Yeah,
Okay.
I knew exactly.
So
It was
what
silly.
was your?
So I mean, I was
thinking
doing
then?
it playfully, like
Being
we're
silly.
I was having a good day. I was happy to be with him, and we were hanging out, and we were just driving. And this guy didn't he yell something in the car? Or
he was
something?
talking to the girl.
Oh,
on
I
the
thought he was
side
talking
of
to
you.
me, and I was like, oh, hey, and I was like, just being funny. He was actually, was he cute?
He was trying to talk to the girl. Talking about, you gonna call me?
Maybe he was cute too, and that's like,
He
oh,
wasn't that cute.
Okay. But anyway, yeah. So I just did it playfully. I wasn't trying to like call start. But when I do those things, like I mean, I don't do that all the time.
Not all the time.
But I mean, I have decorum to some regard. But when I do those things, I don't think about having a fight over my sexuality. That's the furthest thing from mine. Like, oh, I'm gonna have to get out of the car and fight to defend my sexuality or defend who I am as a person. That's the last thing I am. So when I'm like hanging out with my boyfriend and like playing with his hair and we're walking on the beach, I want to hold hands in South Shore, which is a predominantly black area, and I don't think twice. It's just not like my security radar doesn't come up like, oh, who's that over there? He looks like he would hate gay people, so let me not do this, or that.
Now, do you either of you have you ever had any kind of negative experiences, like someone trying to hurt you or attack you or slander or?
I grew up on the south side of Chicago when it was not okay to be gay.
Okay.
I didn't grow up in a household where I was able to be out.
Okay. So you're a little more vigilant.
I'm a little bit more
14,
vigilant.
And he came out when he was
21.
Okay.
And I didn't want to come out then. It was kind of pulled out of me.
Okay.
And after that, when I came out, I was out. It was like, okay, well, I can care less now at this point.
All
but
right.
I still grew up very vigilant of being gay and other people, because people say things, oh, look at those sissies, look at that. I grew up hearing that.
Right.
Look at those fags. Or,
Right.
Gay is this, that. I grew up with that. I grew up listening to people get the AIDS thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So I grew up looking at that and people
Right.
being so negative. I
Right.
didn't want that connotation associated with me.
Right.
Growing up.
So you're more vigilant of that because you know it's there. You know people can say those
know
things
people are
and they
mean.
try and do mean things.
People will try you,
And
especially women.
I'm assuming you're not necessarily naive
I'm
about
not
all
naive.
that.
No, not
but
at all.
would I be accurate in thinking that there's almost a political statement too?
Absolutely, it's an act. I'm definitely an activist for LGBT issues, and I'm completely unapologetically gay. Like, so ever since I was 14, I came out. This is gonna sound crazy. I wanted my parents to kick me out of the house because I was gay. Like, I just wanted them to. That's why. And I'm a bit rebel as well. I'm a bit rebellious. I know that, but. Yeah, when I came out the same night Ellen came out on television on her ABC show.
Okay.
I just I told my parents that I was gay, and my mom started spitting out Christian verses, verses, and I was like, Mom, really?
The black household.
This is like 14. I'm like, really? So ever since then, my parents I love them for this. They've allowed me to be very open about how I feel and very opinionated about what's going on in my head and how I'm feeling. Like, it was never like, don't do this or don't do that. I was very comfortably gay growing up. In high school, I was out. I was on the football team. I played football. I was, so I just had a lot of experiences where I've been tested. Being gay has been like, thrown in people's faces, and I haven't gotten a really horrible response back. I mean, I've got the commentary, like, the faggots, of course, but as an adult, I just don't deal with it anymore. I just either walk off or, spit out some political LGBT jargon or whatever to kind of shut you up and then keep moving, or write a story about it.
Okay, so that's what you're trying to do in those situations.
Yeah.
You're pushing the envelope a little bit politically. You're unapologetically gay.
Right.
You're feeling a little hyper vigilant. Is that now that sort of sounds like a bit of an extreme context where you're in an area where it's a little rougher, et cetera. Would you have the same reaction if you were
Boys Town.
just?
No.
Okay.
In Boys Town, no, he wouldn't. He would be all over it.
No.
Okay.
I mean, we could be in a restaurant having dinner, and it could be couples around us that happen to be heterosexual, and we can hold hands. I can care less. I want you to say something at that point because we having dinner. I want you to say something. But if we're in a car driving, and I don't know where we're at, and I know we're in an area where people shoot, I'm like, okay, let's just be a little careful here,
Okay.
even though it shouldn't matter.
Okay. And when he says, let's be a little careful.
It literally goes out of the other ear. Like
And that's when he takes it up to
and I'm not trying to be a martyr for LGBT issues either, but I just think that if I feel like I want to kiss you right now, I should be able to kiss you. Like it shouldn't be filtered. It should not be filtered. I think I'm just so passionate about him. Like if I want to, hold your hand or make out with you in the park, I should be able to just do it, without thinking about whether I'm going to get shot or killed for being gay.
Sure.
Screw you,
Sure. In a perfect world, that'd be true.
I know, in a perfect world. That's my head.
And so we've got just a few more minutes left, but I want to sort of stay with this issue for a little bit because I'm curious. It sounds like in some ways the two of you are not only coming from a different comfort level, but almost coming from a different, like it's perspective's not even the right word. So. Because you're thinking a little, in that moment even, almost like a different world. Because, Lennox, you're saying, I should be able to do this.
Right.
I love my partner, I should be able to reach over and kiss him or touch his hair, etc. You're sort of about, I'm making the world different. Right in this moment, you're about making the world different.
I think I do feel that.
You're about, I feel uncomfortable in this. And it sounds like your perspective is sort of the world, you're changing society. Your perspective is you and me right now, and we're here, and it's almost like you're outside, if you're in the car or whatever, you're in the car with the two of you. And I'm wondering if there's a way to bring those perspectives together. Like, do you think you're aware of Jarrell's discomfort? Because when you reach across, because you love him, but you're also reaching across and making him uncomfortable.
No, I'm quite aware of it, and it actually pisses me off.
Oh, it pisses you off?
It makes me really upset. Because I'm actually going to Uganda in a couple weeks to report on the anti-gay laws there, and I can be completely hung, murdered, jailed for being gay and reporting on the stories that aren't being told. He's completely against it, but. I mean, that's the kind of person I am. Like, I just feel like and maybe you're right. I think you're absolutely right on, actually. I'm trying to make a change in the world. And I know I can't do it by myself, obviously, or it may not even happen, but at least I can die trying.
Right.
Well, let me add. I've lived in Atlanta, Georgia, which is one of the second gay mecca from San Francisco, and it's the gay mecca for black men. I moved there 10 years ago when I came out. After I came out, I got out of Chicago because I knew Chicago 10 years ago wasn't ready for gay. It's still it's not ready now. It's still kind of not gay friendly now. It's coming. But in Atlanta, I can meet him on the street and hold his hand and walk down the street. That's why I moved down there.
Okay.
So, have you been in Atlanta? Oh, I wouldn't care where we was at because it's so common. But here, it's like, okay.
And I probably wouldn't do it. I wouldn't want to do it in Atlanta.
Atlanta, he wouldn't want to do it because it's already. It's not even
the task is done.
It's so
already.
Comfortable. I mean, I came completely out in Atlanta. I would meet guys on the street and say, hey, and whistle and blow the horn and turn around and come back. I would never do that here.
But see, that's where I think there's where I'm seeing the difference, and we're not going to have enough time today to resolve it all. It would be great if we could come up with a solution here. But you're trying to enjoy, like if you're in Atlanta, you're just enjoying your relationship. You'd be holding hands or kissing publicly or what have you.
I would.
Because you're present enjoying the relationship.
Right.
I'm not trying to imply that you're not doing that.
No.
But you are sort of about the political statement.
I am a bit political when it comes to LGBT. A lot political.
Have the two of you ever tried to just talk about in advance, like we're going out tonight, we're going to be in this area, this is likely to come, doesn't work?
It doesn't work.
Yeah, boundaries are another thing.
Because if I tell him we're going somewhere, I'm like, we're going to an area, we're going to a party where it's going to be straight people.
Don't use the word bitch.
Please don't be so extra, because, like I said, I walk in the door, they're not going to assume that I'm gay, but when he walks in, they're going to assume that we're together, they're going to assume we're gay. But then when he gets to being drinking and gets to being extra and he's flirting with the men, I'm like,
I don't flirt with straight.
Yes, you do. You're flirting with guys, he say little stuff that could be a little testy.
Okay.
And then I got the girl want to say something smart, and then I'm having to say something to her, and then I'm having to say something to both of them, and then now we got a big argument.
So are you jumping in, trying to, you feel like you have to then
defend me?
You're defending. So it's interesting, though. That's almost like, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like that's your political stance. When you get somebody individually is saying something nasty to you guys or something attacking, you still feel that you need to stand up for who you are.
I will.
So you're not completely cowering away from, don't let the world know.
No, I'm
but
not.
So you get kind of angry if he's
not
uncomfortable.
yeah.
But do you see that sort of political side of him
I see
too?
that. No, I get that. And I, actually, until you just said it, I didn't really realize it. But you're right. That's exactly what he does. And I didn't realize that as a political statement as well. But it is, essentially. Interesting.
So I'm curious if, we're going to have to stop in just a minute, but I'm curious what you think about that as sort of the area, both of you finding it important to be proud of being gay, to stand up for being gay, to stand up for yourselves as a couple in a different way. You do it differently.
Right,
you
we
each
do.
do it differently.
We do.
But you're doing the same thing,
Doing the same thing
in different ways.
different ways.
How might that influence some of the interactions you've had around that?
So
If you think about it in that way,
that we're both doing the same thing politically to kind of fight for LGBT rights.
yes, and for the two of you as and trying to fight as a couple, right? For your own existence together as a team.
Go ahead.
I mean, I think if I now that I know that, well, that's actually mind blowing right now because you're right. I never thought about it that particular way. But if I would have known what you had just said before, I don't think I would be as political with him. Interestingly enough, I don't think I'm doing it to get a reaction out of you. I kind of want you on my team in regards, on my political team.
And you haven't sensed that he is.
I haven't sensed that he is. But now that you've said that him standing up for whatever, for our LGBT rights, and when we are in public, whatever, it's kind of like the same thing. I never got it. Okay, interesting.
And have you felt like you were on the same team?
Yeah, I mean, it's like that's like picking a fight. You know how you pick a fight with somebody?
Right.
He's more of the picker.
Right.
And I'm the one that has to defend us when he picks the fight.
Right.
Although I can defend myself.
We know he can defend himself, but
Sure.
I'm going to be the one that's going to say, okay, now hold on a minute.
Okay.
And then you're going to
So
see
you both
that.
have a role. It sounds like you would prefer to not always have to
I don't want
exercise that
I don't
role.
want to have to do it at
But,
all. I don't have to. I want
right.
to just go and have a good time.
Yeah.
We ain't got to be bothered with having to argue with nobody, whether they know we gay or not.
Right.
But that's only going to be happen if I'm not going to do it. It's going to be if he doesn't put it out there so much to give somebody a reason to, oh, look at them. They so gay. Look at them sissies over.
Sure.
The minute I hear that,
What did you say?
the minute I hear that, it's going to be put the drink down. What did you just say?
Right. Right.
Hold on now.
Right.
I'm not a sissy. I don't take that from nobody.
Sure. So guys, we're going to have to stop. But before we do, I would like to just get a little feedback. I mean, this is like really fast-paced,
Therapy.
soup to nuts therapy. Can you just give me a little feedback about what we've talked about today? Any thoughts that you might have?
I think the fact that you brought up the thing about the trust and him going through my phone and it's being brought up that I'm letting him do that because I know that he's trying to work through his trust issues. I think that was the big thing. I think it's going to work. We're probably going to see that the change. It's probably going to be a change going forward. And we'll probably talk about it more now that we've explored it. And I think now with the gay situation,
PDA.
the PDA thing,
The gay situation.
the PDA, the gay PDA, it probably is going to. He's going to think about it now.
All right.
And probably when we're on 87th on the same corner, he might touch my hand down here,
Instead of up here.
and opposed to on the back of the seat when there's cars all around and they looking in the car and they getting ready. So that's what I'm going to say. What did you just say?
Excuse me.
See.
And if
This is.
he may not, but if he does,
He may not, but he'll be more mindful of it.
Okay. All right.
This is what I love about therapy. This is what I love about future therapists, is that, you really get a chance to sit down and talk about exactly. And I didn't even realize his political stance was a political stance until...
We never sit together in a therapy
We never
session.
really talked about it, yeah. So, but yeah, I think this is really helpful. I mean, especially with my trust issues, I think it feels really good to kind of get it out and actually hear a different perspective that's not biased in some regards. And yeah, it really forces and kind of encourages me to work on those issues. Okay. So I'm really excited. Thank you for that. Thanks.
Great. Well, good luck to you both.
Thank you.
And I hope
We're
you
gonna
have
need it.
Christopher. I hope you have a long and happy relationship.
I think we will. I mean, we haven't had no problems yet, so
Good. Let's see.
we're still together.
We're still nice.
Still together. And definitely Africa or New Zealand are both nice places to go.
Yeah,
I would
right,
think so.
exactly. Why
Yeah,
not?
I mean, I'm not scared to go anywhere, so.
All right. Well, it was really nice to meet the both of you.
Thank you. Cheers.
You two again.
Take care.
You two again.
All right.
Thank you. I'll put this down for you.